Unfortunately, President Biden lost the opportunity to persuade the American people otherwise on day one of his administration, when he chose to turn the American Southwest into a free-for-all. Since then, things have only gotten more dangerous. During the first 4 days of this month, law enforcement officials arrested 3 members of MS-13, an 18th Street gang member, and multiple convicted sex offenders as they tried to enter the country. On July 6th, they seized more than 1,000 pounds of meth from one single smuggler. That's right, one smuggler. Do you think the drug dealers are emboldened? Think about that, 1,000 pounds of meth. So far this year, they've seized more than 8,000 pounds of fentanyl, which is enough to kill a small country. And here is the question I would pose to the president. How many people and how many pounds of drugs made it in while Border Patrol agents were busy with the smugglers and criminals they managed to catch? Where did the gotaways go? What did the gotaways have with them? Well, that is a rhetorical question. We know exactly where they went, and we know what they've got with them. And you know what, Madam President? They are coming to our own cities, communities, towns, our own backyards. My Democratic colleagues may be happy to ignore the problem, but on behalf of Tennesseans, I will not ignore the problem. The threat is too great. If you ask any law enforcement officer, they'll tell you this issue of the southern border, it is a matter of life and death. Not just on the border, Madam President, but in each of our 95 counties in the state of Tennessee, in each of our towns and cities. This open border is a matter of life and death. In Tennessee, our sheriffs and police chiefs want the border secured. And I've got to tell you, to so many Tennesseans, it is laughable that a White House spokesman would stand behind that podium and look at the people and say, the border is secure. Who do they think they're talking to? Do they think that people are not watching the footage? Whether they're watching it on TV or streaming it or looking at it on social media, Madam President, they can see that this border is not secure. They're talking to friends and relatives that live in a border state, that live along that border. And they're telling them some of the horrific stories that they're witnessing every single day in their communities. We know for a fact that the cross-border drug trade is alive and well. Who's getting rich off this open southern border? Take a guess. The drug cartels. The drug cartels. Enormous profits, growing to a global organization. That's right, global. So far this year, people from 150 different countries have come across our southern border. Chinese nationals, they're not trying to come in here on a visa. They don't wish us well. Chinese Communist Party, they're hard at work. Chinese Communist Party, they're paying the cartels $50,000 a pop to get people into our country that they want to, but bringing them across the southern border. The Tennessean, which is our newspaper in Nashville, Tennessee, recently reported a truly horrific story about a multi-million-dollar crime ring operating right out of Middle Tennessee. That's right. The drug cartels, they're not fearful because Joe Biden has the welcome mat out, border open. The kingpin was working directly with the Sinaloa drug cartel. Now, that is the one that primarily has the Arizona border. That is the one that is bringing a majority of the drugs through Arizona. They like to focus on fentanyl. And the traffickers that were working underneath this hoodlum are as brutally violent as their friends down in Mexico. We know they are responsible for multiple horrific assaults, kidnappings, at least one murder, and the mutilation of a 22-year-old woman. They're also linked to a local gang that terrorizes the streets of Nashville. That's right, a drug kingpin working directly with the Sinaloa cartel. And that is what they are doing in Tennessee. The violence does not stop at the border. The violence in this country increases because of that open border and because of the unwillingness of this administration to do anything about it. This violence is bleeding into every town, every state, and it will not stop until we have leaders in the White House and an administration who are willing to put themselves in between these monsters and the American people. The fact that we can't talk about this without provoking hysteria in the ranks of the Democratic Party tells me we're heading in the wrong direction. But don't take my word for it. Just read a number of the polls that are out there. I hope the president takes to heart that 33% job approval rating that the New York Times reported on today. That is about as significant a message as could be sent to this administration. Only 33% of the American people